Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for another session with all of you up there in Orange County. I'm down here in San Diego. So, we're going to get started here in just a moment. We're going to give another moment for people to chime in and get going. I'm going to open my chat over here so I can just see what is going on. So, as a reminder, for those of you who are here live, we are recording this. You'll get a replay. You will also get a link to copy of the slides. So don't feel like you have to feverishly jot down notes as you go through. You can get access to those slides, but at any point, feel free to grab a screenshot of you doing or any of the slides we have going on so that you can have those for reference if you need to. Go ahead and take any notes you need to take. And if you have any questions while we're going, please go ahead and drop those in the chat or the Q&A, and I will come back to questions at the end. I won't necessarily answer them while we're going. I want to make sure I get you as much information as possible in our next little bit of time together, and then we'll leave time for that Q&A. So if anything comes up and you're like, hey, that made me think of this, just drop it in the questions and we will get to them at the end. So, with that, it looks like we've got a good number of people here already. Hello to all of you who are here. It's so great to see you. We're going to go ahead and get started. So today we're talking about Instagram's do's and don'ts for effective marketing as a real estate agent. And we're going to cover 5 key things. We're going to break them down in a bunch of details, what not to do and what you should be doing. So I hope you're excited for that. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Jen Herman. I am a globally recognized Instagram expert. I have worked here with the Orange County Realtor Association a number of times. I'll be back in person in October as well, up there in Orange County, to do some in-person training. And I know Elsie's going to put that information in the chat. So I look forward to hopefully seeing some of you in person later this year. It would be great to meet you. If you're not familiar, like I said, I teach Instagram for a living. This is literally what I do. I'm very fortunate to be able to do this. And I've worked with real estate agents all around the US, and I've spoken at numerous events, whether they're, national, regional, independent type real estate events and agencies. So I understand your unique challenges. A lot of people, when we teach Instagram, are like, here, I have a product to sell. Or maybe they're a service-based business, which is still a little bit harder in the world of Instagram. In real estate, you fall into this middle ground that is definitely a little bit different than either one of those. You're technically a product, you're selling a house, but it's also a service because you're servicing them in this transaction. And that product, a house, is not something like this that you can just buy off the shelf. It is a very complicated process. And obviously, there's a lot of legalities and ethics and all these things that go into it. And translating that into your Instagram marketing can absolutely be done, but it's a little bit quirky compared to what most brands are doing on social media. So that's some of the stuff that we'll talk about today, kind of what not to do and what you should be focusing on when you are looking at your Instagram strategy as a real estate agent. All right, so it's important to remember as we talk about everything today that Instagram is not like other platforms. This is important that you remember this. If you're using a strategy from another platform and just imposing it into Instagram, it's not going to work. Instagram is not Facebook. What works on Facebook will typically not work on Instagram. And Meta, the parent company, owns Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp as well. But because of that, Facebook and Instagram are often linked, and people will often post on Instagram and just auto post to Facebook, or post on Facebook and auto post it to Instagram. The problem is the visuals that work on Facebook typically don't work as well on Instagram. Instagram's visuals do work on Facebook, but not Facebook to Instagram. Facebook, you have different types of captions. You can do links. You can do different features and functionality. Those don't translate when you transfer your information over to Instagram. Instagram stories have different stickers, reels, and things have all these functionality on Instagram that they don't have on Facebook. So if you're auto posting to Facebook, they're not going to work in the same functionality. So we need to remember that they are separate platforms and they have to have separate strategies. There can be a lot of similarity, but they are separate. Also, Instagram is not the same as LinkedIn. People are on LinkedIn for very different reasons than being on Instagram. Doesn't mean that people on Instagram don't want to connect with professionals. It doesn't mean they don't want to learn. Doesn't mean they aren't interested in that information. But people are on those platforms for different reasons. They're consuming content with different intent and in different capacities when they're on each of those platforms. So we can't take what we're doing on LinkedIn and just assume it's going to work on Instagram. TikTok is one that is a lot of similarity, right? But, the Reels are a knockoff of TikTok and stories are a knockoff of Snapchat. But what works on TikTok does not necessarily work on Instagram and vice versa. Again, different features, different operations, different audiences, but also just different ways of consuming content. Even though they're quote unquote the same thing with that short form video, you could put the same video on both platforms and it may go gangbusters on TikTok and do nothing for you on Instagram, or vice versa. Because the platforms are different and they do have a different audience, same people, but different behaviors on the platform. So we can't, again, just take that short form video and assume that it will do the same thing on both platforms. You're welcome to put it on both platforms, absolutely. Just know that they will perform differently. And YouTube. Instagram is not YouTube. Instagram does not have long tail keyword search. We don't have long form video, although apparently 20-minute videos are currently being tested on Instagram. So long form video is back, even though 4 years ago they told us it was dead. It's back. But long form video on YouTube is a different search functionality. It's a different intent. Someone goes to Instagram to look at short form content, to look at, entertainment. Someone goes to YouTube to figure out how to fix the leak under their kitchen sink. They want long form educational content on YouTube. That's what they went and Googled. They're looking for a solution, or they're looking for that episodic content. Instagram doesn't typically have that same environment. Doesn't mean you can't do those things there, but we have to do it a little bit differently. So I just want you to keep this in mind as you're thinking about your Instagram strategy. And I also want to assure you that this is not meant to overwhelm you because I know you are very busy. You are doing a million things in your day-to-day life, from being a real estate agent, and dealing with all of that. You probably have a family and your personal life and all these obligations and all the to-do things on your everyday list of tasks. And we're always looking for ways to, hey, like if I can just merge Facebook and Instagram and just knock them both out with one button, great. It's going to save me so much time. And I'm telling you not to do that. But this isn't meant to overwhelm you. We're like, well, now I have to have all these different strategies and I have to do all these different things. There are a lot of ways that we can merge those things and make them very similar, but just tweak them slightly for each platform in a way that doesn't overly consume your time and yet still benefits each one of those platforms. And so if you're thinking about this, things like scheduling tools are really helpful for this, to be able to go in. I use Agorapulse, Agorapulse, Agorapulse. But there's things like Sprout Social and Later and a variety of other tools that you've probably heard of. And they're great because you can take one piece of content and you can schedule it out to all these different things so you can tweak each one. If you're in Canva, you can create one piece of content and change it into all the different sizes so that it's optimized for the different platforms with one simple button. So there's a lot of things that you can do to speed up the process by creating content for all these different platforms. Now, we're not going to talk about that in much more detail. I'm going to dive into the specifics of the do's and don'ts on Instagram, but I just want you to know that this is not meant to be overwhelming and that you have to completely redo everything. We just want to make sure we're tweaking things for each platform, especially on Instagram, to make sure that you are really taking advantage of that platform. So we want to avoid some common mistakes and ensure that Instagram is more successful for you. And the things we want to avoid on Instagram, these are the things we're going to cover today. Using the wrong images in your posts. We're going to talk about that in great detail. Using AI incorrectly. We've heard AI everywhere these days. Everything is AI, and it is incredibly helpful, but we want to make sure that you're not overusing it and that you're using it in the right way for Instagram and your brand. 3, we're going to talk about not optimizing your content for search and recommendations, because this is super important for growth and getting in front of the right audiences. and using the wrong link in your bio. This is incredibly common. We only have the limited real estate to get people to our websites. We want to make sure that we're doing it strategically so that we get the right people getting to the places they need to go and we can drive those conversions. All right, so let's start with our image don'ts. These are things we don't want to do with our images, and it's super common is taking a PDF and just turning it into a JPEG and posting it to Instagram. If you feel called out, I am sorry. It's a good thing we're virtual and we can't see each other's faces. But I know this is super common. You take that one sheet, it's, the kind of all the details about the property listing, and it's got that curb shot at the top, and it's got all the details, and it's got your contact information, and it's a beautiful PDF. And you take it, you turn it into a JPEG, and you put it across social media. Those can do okay on Facebook. They still don't do great on Facebook, but they're going to tank on Instagram. They will not work. So we'll talk about some things you can do in place of that. But it's important that you understand if you're taking a PDF, just turning it into a JPEG and putting on Instagram, it's not going to perform well. That much text is way too overwhelming. There's ways that we can take that PDF and create like one really good image. We can create a carousel. We put all the information in the caption. There's things that we can do to make that more effective. That typical front of the house flyer image is another common mistake. We take that curb shot when you're standing up front, and that's the one that goes on the PDF usually. And we take that photo of that house and we put it on Instagram. We put it on all the social media. Again, probably not going to perform very well on Instagram because it's boring. And I'm sorry to be blunt, but it is boring. It is not attractive. It's not Instagrammy. There's nothing appealing about it. It is a marketing image. It is not an Instagram image. It's not a connection image. So we want to look at things that are inside the house. We want to look at different angles and perspectives. We want a great shot of a backyard. We want something that shows a different perspective, taken up high, coming down low, or putting people in front of the house. Things like this that will help make the image stand out and look a little bit more native and organic to the platform versus that very stereotypical, just blunt image at the front of the house that really doesn't convey anything of the value of the house, unless it's an extremely gorgeous front of the house. And there are some of those, absolutely. But in general, we want a little more personality and a little bit of a different appeal. Too much text in the images. This also goes back to that PDF, but it can be things when you're doing something in Canva and you put all these details and you put all this information. Maybe you have an open house coming up and you put everything in the image. Not going to work on Instagram. Too much text will hurt you. So we want to minimize the text in the image and put all the text in the caption, or turn it into a carousel where you swipe through and all the text is on 4 or 5 different slides in that carousel. That's going to help break up the text. People still get the same information, but it will convert significantly better. If your images are too busy, we want to make sure we have a clear focal point. So if you take me in this image right now, in the background, there's me. I've got the very pink wall. Obviously, I've got some things over here in the background. It's not too busy, but it's a little distracting. There's still all this on a call like this, it works, but as a photo, the eye doesn't necessarily know where to go because I kind of blend into this background. So if the background is blurred and I'm a little bit more further forward and you got a good clear view of me, then I'm the clear focal point. This applies to if you're taking an image of a house and you go in and there's books on shelves and there's chairs and there's knickknacks and there's things and the eyes don't know where to go. That's not a productive image. Doesn't mean it's not a great image, but probably not for the first image in a sequence because it's too busy. We need a good, clear focal point. And I do have examples of some of these things coming up on the next slide. Don't worry. And the other common mistake is never showing your face. You are the real estate agent. You are the expert that we want to work with. You are the person who's going to be showing up to all these listings and showings. And you're the person I'm going to be talking to on the phone and on email and going out to coffee to go over paperwork or whatever it is. We need to see your face. And I know a lot of people are intimidated to put your face out there. You don't have to be perfect, especially in this post-pandemic world. We've definitely gone back to a bit more of a raw, authentic, a little less polished in terms of content ideas. And so it doesn't need to be that, always that same headshot of you just cropped out and overlaid on top of all the photos. No, that's too staged, it's too perfect, and that's not probably what you look like when you show up at my door, right? You're probably a little less polished. Most of us don't look like our profile photos all the time. So I want to see you more casual. I want to see you in the car at school pickup doing a little video. I want to see you taking selfies of you and your life. I want to see videos of you walking through and showing an open house preview, but having somebody film you, or having you, do it kind of like this and you're kind of showing behind you, or whatever it is. We need to see you in all your glory, all your wonderful personalities, essentially. So whether you're full makeup or not, whether you're casual clothes or professionally dressed up, whatever it is, we want to make sure that we're seeing you in the content. So here's some examples of things to focus on when you are looking at your photo ideas. So when we're again, photos of you, people connect with people. They want to see your face. They want to know what you look like. So you've got this image up here from Morgan King. Here she is with her baby. She's outdoors. She doesn't have the perfect polished hair. She's got sunglasses on, shadows on her face. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but she's beautiful, and this is what she looks like. And you get to see this in her content. You get to see what she really looks like because she shows up on camera consistently. You have Claire over here. And so this is one where, again, this is a bit more of like a professional photo, right? But you can see her. It's professional without being overly polished. And in both of these, there is a clear focal point with these women. So even though in Morgan's, you can see the house and the trees and everything in the background, she's taking up the bulk of the photo, and you can see her and the baby in clear focus. Then you kind of catch the trees and you kind of catch the house in the background and that sort of thing. But there's a clear focal point. With Claire over here, she's wearing a bright pink color. Bold colors are going to help you stand out in the feed, draw attention, so it immediately catches your eye. And everything around her is muted, so she stands out against the background. Clear focal point being her. You've got these images of the houses. So you've got this one up here by Julia. And so it's a front of the house photo, but it's not traditional. It's a little bit angular. It's a bit of a different perspective. You've got these long linear lines of the fence. You've got the linear lines going up to a distant focal point with the roof. So it's a little bit more abstract. It's a little bit more unique. It's not just to stand there and take a straight on photo. It's intentionally playing with angles, which does really well on Instagram. You have this other one over here by Maria, and she put people in front of the house, right? It's not just the house, but it's people. They're happy. People connect with people. So these are things that you can do to help add your personality, help make sure there's a clear focal point, play with some Instagram features, other things that will help you when you're doing your photos. The color blue has been shown to increase engagement by up to 20%. And if you don't have blue, you see blue sky in 3 of these photos. There's ways we can incorporate blue without actually having to put blue things in the photo, but keeping that in mind. Animals, kids, great for engagement. So if you can take advantage of those always get more engagement. But think about things also like your long lines, playing with angles, playing with different perspectives. So standing up on a chair looking down, standing in the upstairs window looking down on the backyard rather than just standing on the bottom slider, those sorts of things. Play with your angles, play with your positioning so that you can really get some unique perspectives that are going to be more appealing from an Instagram perspective. All right, let's move on to the AI don'ts, the things we don't want to be doing with AI. So, like I said, AI is everywhere. We're all using it. You're using it even if you don't know you're using it. Right now, it's pretty much on everything you can log on to online. So one of the things I don't want you to do is over rely on these AI tools. And I say this as somebody who logs into an AI dashboard almost daily. I absolutely see the value in these tools. But if you're not super comfortable with them, then that's something you need to work on before you start relying on them too much. We want to make sure that you are using them strategically and set up properly. So a lot of people will just go to AI and they'll just type in something like, write me a caption for this. But you're not giving it enough context. You're not giving it enough information. one of the key ways to be successful with AI is good prompting. And this is something I am still working on. I do not consider myself a prompt engineer in any stretch of the imagination, but it's giving a lot of context. It's giving a lot of detail. It's giving your AI a persona. You can literally say to your AI, imagine you are my chief marketing officer, and you have 20 years of marketing experience in real estate. I need you to help me come up with XYZ. So give it more detail when you start. Don't just say, give me a caption for this. You want to really help generate that prompt. And then when you're doing that, do not just copy and paste that caption that it gave you and put it on your Instagram account or any of your social media. We want to use these as a starting point. Unfortunately, well, fortunately, I guess I should say, AI is not as smart as you. AI is incredibly smart. It is incredibly resourceful. A lot of these models are built on data from more than 4 years ago. A lot of them are not going to pull 2025 data and information. So when you start asking it things about what to do in today's real estate market, it doesn't really know what to do with that. If you're talking about market fluctuations, if you're talking about neighborhood details, these are things AI does not have a wealth of knowledge on. It's going to make up a bunch of stuff and it's going to tell you a bunch of stuff, but is it accurate? So I don't want you to over rely on that. Use it as a starting point. You put your prompt in there and say, I have to write an Instagram post talking about the top 5 places to hike in Orange County. And it's going to come up with 5 very obvious hiking locations. It's probably fine, but you probably know better ones. You may keep 4 of the 5 and switch out 1. Or you may know that number 3 is a great place to go, but you don't want to go during these months of the year. Or if you want to go, park here. Like, you can add more to this than what AI is going to give you. You have these knowledge, you have this expertise. I want you to make sure that you're shining through in this context and not just taking whatever AI is giving you and slapping it in there and calling it a day. I want you to make sure you're adding your personality and everything else. And speaking of that, make sure that you are, if you're using AI, whether it's ChatGPT or whatever it is, that you're putting a persona in there that it understands who you are. So you can give it text examples and say, here's previous, captions that I've written. I want you to write in the same style so that it maintains your voice and those sorts of things. Because again, a lot of time we tend to just, oh, write me a caption, and like it doesn't sound anything like you. It uses words or punctuation or phrasing that was nothing you would ever use. So make sure that you're giving it this information to give you the best possible outcome. Another common mistake, and this is one I'm really, really going to harp on, is do not rely on AI for a hashtag strategy. Hashtags are still important on Instagram. Yes, they are. They don't operate quite the same way they used to, but they are incredibly valuable. It is important that you use them. And AI will give you the worst possible strategy. I've tried so many times to get it to understand. It doesn't understand. And it's going to give you hashtags that are not actually going to help you strategically. So on the next slide, I have a resource for you that's going to help you, but I just want to make sure that you understand the importance of using hashtags strategically within your industry. We want to use geographical hashtags. We want to use location-based hashtags for the area around Orange County that you serve. And you may serve all of Orange County, but I'm guessing most of you have a pretty limited space. You're not necessarily going all the way from Dana Point up to Seal Beach, right? You're probably focused in certain regions within the county rather than just using Orange County. So we want to, Orange County works great, but we also want to narrow down. Are you doing beach communities? Are you kind of really focused in Huntington, or are you further out in, RSM and other areas like that? So where are you, and how does that tie into your content? That's going to tie into your hashtag strategy. You're going to talk about things that are going on community-wise within those regions, and we want to make sure you're using hashtags related to that kind of stuff, not just these overly generic hashtag real estate things that AI is typically going to give you. And another common mistake is not disclosing when you are using AI. So you do need to disclose it ethically, legally. If you used it to write a caption and you edited the caption, you don't technically need to disclose that, even though you should. But if your images are generated with AI, you're supposed to disclose that. You can do it within the Meta platform and it puts a label on it, but you're supposed to disclose that. So if you said, create me an image of a 45-year-old woman sitting at a marble countertop in a modern kitchen, blah, 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 and that's not a real person and a real photo, if that was AI generated, you are supposed to disclose that. If you are using AI tools in your messaging, you can use AI in your Instagram DMs and those sorts of things. You need to make sure that it's disclosed that you are interacting with AI and that it's not you in those situations. So just make sure that if you are using these tools, that you are being, compliant with the requirements around them. So here's that QR code. If you want to scan that QR code, that will take you to my hashtag strategy. You can take a look at that and go through everything you need to know about using hashtags today. They are still important, so you can take a look at that and see if that would be helpful for you, but that will definitely be way more valuable than trying to rely on AI for your hashtags. So again, just make sure that when you are using AI, and I want to point out this is Morgan's example, this was not generated with AI. This is an older post. I use it all the time. I just love it as a great screenshot. But use AI for starting points to generate some ideas. So be like, okay, we're going into summer. Give me 5 topic ideas that I can write about as a real estate agent targeting couples in their 40s living in Orange County, California. And it's going to say, you can talk about blah, 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 blah. And it's going to give you topics. And then from there, you drill down and you're like, I really like 3 of those topics, 2 of those I don't want to deal with. Okay, so give me some examples of what I would talk about, for example, number 1, blah, 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 blah. So you can use AI as a starting point to help you come up with your content ideas. So when we're already strapped for time and we're super busy and we're trying to come up with all this content on all these platforms, use AI to get you going. Use it as a starting point. Use it to give you those prompts to get your blood's, juices going and be like, oh yeah, I can totally write about that. If there's something going on and you're like, I'm not really sure what the full impact of this is, come over to ChatGPT and say, okay, so this is going on right now. What do I need to know about this? And have it help you understand that whether it's a market change, whether it's something that's going on in, construction locally or any of these sorts of things, you can use it to kind of help you make more sense of it so that you can talk better to it when people ask you about it or in your content and these sorts of things. And then always make sure that you're editing for accuracy and add your own personality, your own lingo, make it yours. Do not just take everything that comes out of AI and know that AI, if you tell it it's for social media, is always going to overdo it with the emojis and the hashtags. Like it's too much and they're awkward emojis. Like they're not where we would normally put them. So just keep that in mind and edit accordingly. All right, so let's talk about optimizing your content now and making sure that you are set up for success with your content in general when it comes to things like search and getting found on the platform. So some common mistakes that we see when it comes to not optimizing for search is not using enough hashtags. We want to make sure you're still using a minimum of 10 hashtags minimum. Upwards of 15 to 20 is an ideal range. You can go up to 30, but minimum of 10 per post. These are used for categorization that help Instagram know where to put your content. We'll talk more about this on the next slide. Also, not using relevant keywords in your bio and name fields. This is really important that your bio is optimized for success. We want to make sure that you are putting in details about who you are, what you do, and what's in it for them, the person who's reading your bio the first time they come and find you, but you're also telling Instagram what your content is about. So if your bio talks about, gardening and, being a mom and being a dog mom, and there's nothing about real estate, Instagram's not going to rank you for real estate searches because it doesn't tell me anything that you do real estate. So we want to make sure that you have the relevant keywords. It's not keyword stuffing, but it's writing good kind of content in your bio. It talks about being a real estate agent, talk about the communities you serve. You can put Orange County if you want to. You can neck it down even more if you specifically only do Newport Beach, put Newport Beach, whatever it is, but put those geographical kind of keywords in there. Talk about things like homes, houses, dream homes, finding your home. Things like this will tell Instagram what it is you do when people are searching for things. We want to make sure we have those really good kind of reference of keywords in those in specifically in your bio, but also in your name. So you could put, first name, and then you could put real estate agent, or you could put real estate OC, those sorts of things. You can put those keywords in your name field as well. Another common mistake is not using descriptive captions for intended search results. This is really common on Reels. We put all the information in the reel and we put a really short caption. If we do that, Instagram has a harder time categorizing it. It's fine to leave a short caption. Make sure you're using the hashtags. If you're doing, whether it's a carousel or a single photo, put a longer description. Put a bit more context in there for your carousels. That, again, because the AI, although it's seeing your images, it's not scanning the images to the same detail that it's scanning the caption for the words, for the keywords, the context. So adding a good descriptive caption doesn't have to be regurgitating everything that's in the carousel, but putting a good amount of information in there will help. If you're doing a single photo, longer captions. Really tell your audience what they need to know. Are you talking about an open house? You have all the details of the house. You have the location, the time, those sorts of things. If you're talking about those 5 best hiking trails in Orange County, you're going to list them all out in the caption. Even if all the details in a carousel or in a reel, list them in the caption. That's going to help tell Instagram where to put your content when someone comes looking for hiking trails in Orange County. It's going to rank your content. Another common mistake is keyword stuffing instead of hashtags. This was a thing that was going on for a while. I did see it literally just a couple days ago. So it's still happening, but what people will do is you write your whole caption and then they're just literally stuffing a bunch of keywords at the bottom. Please don't do that. It's not helping. If you have a good descriptive caption, you don't need the keywords because those words are probably already mentioned in some reference in the caption. And if you want to put them there, put them as hashtags. They stand out a little bit better. People are used to seeing hashtags. It looks weird to see the keyword stuffing at the bottom where you literally just put like 8 to 10 random, not random, but they look kind of random words in a paragraph, like after your whole caption. Your audience sees those. They look weird. We're used to seeing hashtags. So don't use the keywords. Use the hashtags. So why all of this matters is how Instagram ranks content. So when somebody goes onto Instagram, and this is short tail keywords, not long tail. If you put in things to do in Orange County, it's going to launch Meta AI and it's going to give you a Meta AI generated list of results, not a bunch of Instagram posts. However, if you put Orange County hiking, it's going to bring up posts on Instagram about hiking in Orange County. So we want to make sure that you are optimizing your content for those keyword searches that people are typically looking for. So in this example, I want to show specifically for a specific reason, I searched for Newport Beach home. Now, this content is all going to be algorithmically chosen based on the consumer who's looking at it. So you and I could look at the exact same thing at the exact same time and get slightly different results because I might tend to like a certain type of content. Maybe I like a lot of really modern homes and you like a lot of more vintage, a little bit more of, kind of like 50s and 60s, mid-century type styles. That would impact the type of content we would see. So this is algorithmically sorted. You're not always going to see the same results, but Instagram is going to pull from 3 key areas. So when I put in Newport Beach home, it is looking at your profile description, how you define your account and what you do. It's going to look at the post captions for all of your content in general. Does your content always talk or typically, frequently talk about the same type of topic? Let's go look at the individual post caption for an individual post to rank and search. Does that individual post relate to that specific keyword? And it's going to look at your hashtags. It's going to look at them and say, oh, yes, look, they have all these hashtags. That helps tell me where to rank the content. So that hashtag uses the keyword that's being searched for. It's going to help improve search. So this screenshot here, I probably took this about 6 months ago. But you'll see the first post up there is a reel, and it's that kind of the White House with the kind of wood facade on the garage door. That's the first post that showed up. Let's look at that post. This post, again, I took this screenshot maybe 6 months ago, maybe end of 2024, for Newport Beach home. The #1 search result is from March 2022, more than 2.5 years before. That was the number one search result because no other content was better optimized for Newport Beach home. And how was it optimized? That individual post says Orange County and home, right? So AI, Orange County, knows Newport Beach is in Orange County and home. So we're hitting it there in the caption. In the hashtag Newport Beach home, the exact keyword I looked for, that's the hashtag optimized for that search. And then you go and look at their profile, and their profile says they're a luxury home builder. They're not even real estate, they're a home builder. They're in Orange County. So Instagram's looking at this piece of content and it says this account regularly posts about Orange County and homes. They have a post specifically related to Newport Beach home. Boom, top of the search result. So a post that's over 2 years old is the number one search result because it's optimized for that keyword. So this is why it's super important that you're optimizing your content for what you want to be found for. If you serve Newport Beach, I want you using hashtag Newport Beach home as much as possible on your content so you can outrank this home builder post from 2+ years ago. Not that I want to outrank them in general, but you know what I mean? We want your content showing up at the top of search. We want you to be doing the right things. So we want to make sure that you're using those three things, your profile description, your post captions, and your hashtags accordingly. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to put Newport Beach home on every single post. If the house is not in Newport Beach, you're not going to put Newport Beach home. You're going to put Laguna Beach home or whatever it is. But we want to make sure that you're using the appropriate hashtags and keywords. I also want to point out that when you're doing this, your content in general should be about real estate. If this is your real estate profile, this is where you do business, it should be about real estate. That doesn't mean that you can't post personal stuff. I always use the example, I obviously always post about Instagram and tips and tutorials and stuff, but I'll post about my daughter. And if I post that we went to the San Diego Zoo, and I do a cute little reel and I have all the hashtags in the caption that says San Diego Zoo, and somebody goes to Instagram and searches San Diego Zoo, my post is not going to come up as the number one search result because my content is almost always about Instagram. Now, that doesn't mean that my San Diego Zoo post won't show up in search, but it's not going to be number one. It'll definitely be lower in the ranking because it's not something I typically talk about. But I always talk about Instagram. If somebody's looking for an Instagram tip, I'm likely to show up pretty high in search because that's what I'm talking about. So just keep that in mind. You can still post things that aren't about real estate. And I want you to post about things that aren't just real estate. If you've seen my other sessions, including the one we did last month with the Orange County Realtors, we talked about things you should be doing with your content. It's definitely not all real estate all the time, but we want to make sure your content is optimized for what your audience is looking for. All right, let's talk about those link in bio don'ts. So there's that one link in bio that you have to drive traffic, and we want to make sure that you're setting it up for success. So the common things we want to avoid are not including a link to click. That's the number one. We want a link. It should be going to your website, and it should be going to a website you manage, right? Whether it's you have a team, whether it's an agency, whether you have somebody who manages your individual website, whatever it is. But we do need that one link in bio option to be going to an ultimate destination to get people off of Instagram and into your world, right? We want them on your website where you have your listings, where you have your contact information, you have your, your lead funnels or whatever it is that you're doing on your website. That's where we want to get them. It's also important that if you're using more than one link, because Instagram does allow you to put up to 5 links in the bio. I'm going to show you what this looks like on the next slide. But it's really important that you label those links accordingly so that each link is well defined as to what people are going to do. And I'll show you again on the next slide what that looks like. And the other common mistake is sending people to your homepage. So you're like, great, I have that link in bio. It's going to go to jenstrends.com. No. It's not going to go to your real estate homepage. No, we want to send them to a dedicated landing page. And I'm going to show you what that looks like and why in just a second. So let's talk first about those multiple links in bio. Instagram allows you to have up to 5 links in bio. You can see this is not a real estate example. This is Mick. She is a cookie decorator down here in San Diego. Super talented. I love her. But she uses multiple links. So if you look at the kind of grayed out portion of her profile, she has direct.me/Making Cookies Co. and 4 more. So that means there are more links available to click on. So when you click on that, it opens up the tray you see on this slide. Now, if she just had all of these as the URL, just the direct.me and the amazon.com and the mookingcookies.com and the bynyk.com, oh, what? If I come to that, I don't know where I'm going. If I'm looking for cookie classes, I'm like, courses? I don't know. Is that what I want? Do I go to her Making Cookies Co? I don't know. You don't know where to go if it's not properly labeled. So you can customize these within Instagram. This is all on Instagram's platform. You don't need to use an alternative third-party tool to do this. This is all directly on Instagram. But she labeled them all. So I know if I want courses, recipes, and product links, great, that's that one. If I want to go to her Amazon storefront, because she'll reference like, hey, like go to my Amazon storefront to buy this product or whatever it is, I know to go to that one. If I want a class inquiry, if I want to have a class, okay, great. It's not her cookie course. I want to sign up for her class or book a class. I know to go to that third link. So this identifies them in a way that I know where to go, because when you're sending people to links off of Instagram, they have to work a lot harder, right? On Facebook, LinkedIn, all the other places, you can put the link and you just say, here, you want to sign up for class? Here you go. Here's the link. And you just click on that link. We can't do that on Instagram. We have to send them to the link in bio. They have to make a choice. They have to then go to the destination. They have to work harder. So we want to make it as easy as possible. And putting in these custom descriptions will help your audience find the right link successfully. So this could be things like, if you have a free download or something, you would have that there. If you have people wanting to sign up for your newsletter, you would have that as one. You could have things related to available listings. You could have, various up to 5 options that would send them to those ultimate destinations where you want to send them to. It's just going to make it a lot easier for them to get to those destinations quickly and easily without any confusion. You're more likely to get the conversions. Now, the alternative to this is to actually use a third-party tool. And so you can use a third-party tool or you can build this on your website. So this example in the middle is it's an older version of what mine looks like. I have a slightly different version now. I've expanded it with better images and stuff, but I keep the screenshot because it looks better for this purpose. But this is a dedicated landing page on my website. So when you go to my Instagram account at JENNS_trends and you click on the link in bio, you go to this page. It takes you to my website. But you're not on my homepage. You're on a dedicated landing page that I only ever share on Instagram. I don't post that link anywhere else. It's not linked anywhere on my website. You can't find it anywhere else. But you land on this page, and it is a landing page that redirects to anywhere you would want to go. So if I typically talk about my newsletter, so you can sign up for the newsletter. I have my 12 free Reels ebook. Yes, it's free. You can click on that link and download it for free. You want to go to my blog. You want to find out about the membership. I have a membership community dedicated to Instagram marketing called Profit Your Profile. A lot of real estate agents in there. If you want to hire me to speak, all these sorts of things are things that I promote on Instagram regularly. And I just have to say, go to my link in bio. So you go to link in bio and you go, yes, I want to download that 12 free or that free ebook for the 12 Reels ideas. Boom, click download. It takes you right to that destination. If I sent them to my homepage, they would have to do a lot more navigating to find that ebook. It's not something that's just on the homepage. They'd have to go look at all the menu options. They'd have to dig around for it. And it's not ideal. It's not going to help them get there quickly. This dedicated landing page helps them get there quickly. It also optimizes for ads because I own this traffic. So the moment you clicked on that link and you came to this landing page, I own the traffic. It's not going through a third-party tool. It's not going through somebody else. And then you don't follow through to the website. If you look at this page and never go anywhere and you leave, I still own that traffic. So if I have my Facebook pixel on there, I can retarget you with ads. I don't do a lot of ads, so don't worry. But I have now, you're in my audience because you visited this page on my website. Additionally, if anywhere you go from here, I have you in Google Analytics. I can see where traffic is going. Are most people going to that ebook download? Are most people going to the blog? Are most people going to the membership information? Where are most people going and what do they do when they get there? That's all in my Google Analytics. So now I can see what behaviors are happening from Instagram to my website and what that means for conversions and long-term, traffic and those sorts of planning. So this is a great option if you own your own website, if you have somebody who helps you manage it. You can do this in WordPress. This was built in WordPress. Any of these sorts of things are pretty easy to build and put together. We do want this mobile optimized for success because most people are not going to look at this on a web page on a computer. They're doing this on their phone. So we want it optimized and no pop-ups, nothing to distract them. We've already made them work to get here. Let's not give them more things to click on. It's going to frustrate them. So that's if you can build the landing page on your website. The alternative is to use a third-party tool like Link in Bio. Later has it. What was it? There's Link in Bio, Later. Linktree, sorry. Linktree is the other one that is very common. And they operate much like this one I have on the screen from Mike. This is actually through Agorapulse. I mentioned that's the dashboard tool that I use for scheduling. They have a Pulse link, which operates just like Linktree and those sorts of things. But these allow you to link to any individual post, not just going to a landing page. So in this case, when you come here, you can go to the social media hat. That's his website. It'll take you there. You can go to his LinkedIn profile and connect with him. All of these icons in this screenshot translate to the exact same image, the thumbnail, that's on his Instagram profile. So at the time, Mike was running 8 podcasts. Yes, 8 podcasts at a time. So for him, having a ton of content and just saying go to link in bio and having to navigate to which podcast and which episode would be overwhelming for a consumer. So in this case, it makes sense where if you were on his Instagram account and you just saw a discussion on generative AI's impact on marketing, and that's the podcast you want to listen to, when you land on his landing page through Pulse Link, you click on that screenshot or that same thumbnail, and it takes you directly to the link for that podcast. So you can do this and it can any post can go to any destination. You've probably seen these in use by a lot of different accounts. So you can use these sorts of things. Most of these are going to be paid platforms. You're not really going to get most of these for free. I think Linktree might have a free option, but they're pretty minimal. So you want to keep that in mind if you want to use these third-party tools. For most real estate agents, the landing page on your own web page or your own website is more than sufficient. But for some, you might want to use that third-party tool. All right, so with that, make sure that you are avoiding all of the don'ts and you focus on the do's. And remember, Instagram is a visual platform first. Good visuals matter. I would rather you spend the time creating a really good visual than overdoing it on, choosing the music or choosing the captions. It's visual first. So make sure you're optimizing for that. And if that means only posting twice a week so you can get the good content, I'm okay with that. You don't need to be posting every single day. It's making sure you have the good visuals that are the most important, and then everything else can kind of fall behind that. People connect with people, so make sure your profile looks and sounds like you. I should see your face. I should see your personality. It should sound like you, whether it's in the videos, the captions. Don't over rely on that AI. We want to make sure that it looks and sounds like you. To be successful on Instagram, you will need to reach your existing audience and attract new audiences. That optimizing for search is important because you can't grow if you're not reaching new people. And having that good content optimized for search will ensure that the right people are finding you, whether it's today, tomorrow, or literally 2 years from now. They could still be finding you if your content is optimized properly. And you need to make it easy for people to connect with you and get the resources you're sharing. Instagram it's not working in silo, but it's also not really well connected to everything else in your marketing arsenal. So we want to make sure that you're making it easy for them. If you're saying, here's a referral or here's a tutorial or here's an ebook, either giving them the content directly on Instagram. If you're sending them off Instagram, make it as easy as possible with those connections through that link in bio solution to get them to the place they need to be quickly and easily to keep driving those conversions. You're more likely to get those conversions if it's easy for them to follow through. So if you focus on these things, Instagram will work for you as a realtor. Of course, everything takes time, effort, and practice, but you can absolutely make this work for you. All right, that's all we have for today. I want to thank you for hanging out with me. You can connect with me anywhere around the internet. If you're not currently signed up for my newsletter, you can scan that QR code and that will sign you up for my newsletter. It goes out the first Wednesday of every month with all the Instagram updates from the previous month and all the other big social media news you need to know. I will not spam your inbox. I literally don't have time to send you that many emails, so I send one email a month, maybe the occasional promotional email, but you are not going to get a spam load of emails from me. So feel free to sign up for that and stay on top of all the big social media news that you need to know every single month. And if you want to connect with me anywhere, like I said, it's pretty much Jens_Trends on all the social media platforms. And you can find out more about my membership if you want to look into that at profityourprofile.com. All right, I'm going to leave this up here for just a moment while I look to see if we have any questions that have popped in. I'm looking just really quick, going through the chat. It looks like Elsie had a bunch of stuff in here. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, now is the time. Grace was saying thank you. Now is the time to pop those questions in there. I'll stop sharing that. We've got Q&A. So Denise said, do you have to put your DRE number on your Instagram post? Great question. In general, yes. You should have it in your Instagram bio. So I always tell people put it down at the end. Don't put it up at the top. You're wasting important space up top. But you should have your DRE number on your Instagram profile. So you're going to put all your who you are, what you do, what's in it for them. Then you can put your license number in there so that it's compliant there. In general, I would say put the license number on any of your posts, especially if you're talking about real estate. If you are doing a post that is exclusively related to your personal life, your vacation, what you went out to dinner last night, if it has nothing to do with real estate in general, there is this gray area where you could not put it on those posts, but because you are using this profile as a marketing tool, as a real estate agent, even if somebody finds you hypothetically from that post about going out to dinner and then they go look at all your other content, you're using it as a funnel in, you should still have your license number on there. So that's kind of where there's like a bit of a gray area, and I'm not a lawyer to give you the ultimate decision on that. But yes, most real estate agents will list their number at the bottom of every single post, usually before you get to the hashtags. So write your caption, put that number in there, and then put your hashtags just to make sure that you are remaining compliant. You are very welcome, Denise. Anybody else have any questions? We still have a few minutes left before we hit the top of the hour. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Questions are my favorite part. It's where I get to answer your questions and make sure you get the information you need out of today. As a reminder, we will have those in-person classes coming up. We'll be doing this session again, but we'll also be doing the session on how to use Instagram to build better client relationships. So that one is a great session. I love that session as well. We'll be doing those in person coming up on October 21st. So Grace popped in with a question, starting an Instagram account from scratch, what should I focus on? That is a great question. So first and foremost, you want to make sure you know what your goal is. Why are you using Instagram? Are you using it to attract buyers and sellers? Is it something that you are, just using it more for kind of like you just want to build brand awareness? You just want people to kind of know your name in the industry, but you're not really going after the buyers and sellers? Kind of what's your goal? So then from there, you can figure out what your content strategy is. If you're starting fresh, know that it's going to take a long time to grow. You are not going to get 2,000 followers overnight. Like in Instagram these days, it just doesn't operate like that. So know that's going to take you a while to grow. You want to have a good amount of content to get started. So if you're starting literally brand new from scratch, you're going to want to post every single day or every other day for at least 2 to 3 weeks. We want to get a flood of content into the Instagram platform so the algorithm knows what you do and where your content should go. This may mean building your content in advance, right? So you're not just going to like have to do content every day, but you can kind of batch create. You're going to want content about, again, who you are, background. Are you brand new to the real estate industry or have you been doing this forever? Are you from Orange County or are you a transplant in? Like all these sorts of things. Who are you? You're going to want content about local things that are highly shareable content. People want to share content or resources. I mentioned that hiking example. It could be things like, the top 5 Italian restaurants in Orange County. These are things that aren't industry related, but they're shareable content, and that gets people finding you. And this goes for anybody at any stage, but especially when you're starting, you want a lot of this educational resource content that's highly shareable because it gets spread out more. That's going to help you grow and get more behavior on your content so that then Instagram can start knowing where to place you. So that's where I would get started in terms of that. Okay, so I had a couple other questions pop in here. Business or personal account? Business for sure. You should not be using a personal account. It doesn't technically matter, but you get way more resources, John, as a business account. You get more DM functionality. You get all the insights on your post performance. You get more resources within the platform if you're set up as a business. So make sure that you are using either a business or creator. There's two. They're both considered professional accounts. Creators get the good music. Business kind of get the royalty free usually. So it's not usually as good of music, but both of those will help protect you legally in the sense of you're using this as a business, not as a personal account, and it gives you more functionality. All right, then we had another, I love all the questions. Bahana said, what would you recommend would give real estate agents the best ROI? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc. That is a great question. So it depends on your target audience. If your target audience is under the age of 45, I would lean towards Instagram and TikTok. If your audience is under the age of 35, if you're going after like those first time, like, young home buyers, new family, definitely Instagram and definitely TikTok. If you're going for the more of that, let's call them the older generation, that kind of 40, 45 and above, Facebook is probably going to be a good, reliable place for you. But Instagram will as well. Instagram is actually ideal for that 30 to 55 demographic. Instagram is like the sweet spot that's kind of in the middle that hits that demographic the most. The challenge with Facebook is the reach and distribution. You technically have to use a business page on Facebook. Legally, you cannot use your personal profile unless you put it in professional mode, in which case then you can. But you struggle to get the reach and distribution on Facebook with a page. You will do much better on Instagram. So you'll actually reach more people in terms of building your audience and driving that engagement and ultimately, hopefully, bringing in those leads through Instagram than you would through Facebook just by reach and exposure. But if you have an existing audience on Facebook and they're loyal and they're devoted and they interact with your content, then that could have a better ROI for you, especially with that over 40 demographic. So it kind of depends on where you are. In terms of YouTube, it can absolutely be valuable. But again, you have to remember that people are going to YouTube for search. So if they're not searching for things, if they are not in buying mode, you're not going to reach them. Whereas on Instagram and Facebook, you can keep them entertained. You can keep yourself top of mind with all this valuable content just by being where they are. They're not coming searching for the content. They're just there and you get to show up where they are. So in general, I would rank YouTube lower for that in terms of content, but in terms of conversions, if they're ready to buy, YouTube can be a gold mine if you're putting the right content in there. So it's definitely there's no definitive answer to these. It is, who is your audience? What's their demographic? And what are your intent behind creating the content to serve them? That'll help you. That's kind of determine that ROI. All right, we had a question over here from Belinda. Should I focus on posts or stories? So this is an answer you're probably not going to like both. Stories go to your existing audience. Stories don't go to new people. So stories only go to people who are currently following you. They are great. Stories are the highest converting content on Instagram in general. People are more likely to convert from stories. Click on the link, respond to a DM, reply to your stickers. They're more likely to interact with that content because they already follow you. They know, like, and trust you. They want to consume your content. So it's higher conversions, but it only goes to your existing audience. So if you want to reach new people, if you want to grow, if you want people sharing your content, if you want to, put out content that lasts more than 24 hours, you need the feed content, whether that's reels, posts, or carousels. So you need to do both, but you also need to understand that they have different strategic values. So I definitely would recommend playing with both, see where your kind of sweet spot is, and then figure out where to focus. But they both are super important. All right, well, that puts us at the top of the hour. Thank you so much for all these questions. It was wonderful. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. And if you have any questions following up on any of this, please reach out to me anywhere on social media, on Instagram. Shoot me an email, jen@jenstrends.com. Jen with two N's, if you want to reach out. And I will see, hopefully, some of you in October in person in Orange County. I believe we will be at the Fountain Valley location. So I will see all of you hopefully in October. Otherwise, maybe on the next webinar. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.